hate when they're all tangled up. All right, putting in the headset. Sorry about the wait, everybody. I should actually just Bluetooth them to my Starkey hearing devices, but I don't want to do that. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me any better. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you do not hear me that well. Let's see. All right, Zaniest_1. All right, you can all hear me better now, right? Got it. Now, honestly something good we could talk about. I could have streamed these because who I'm going to bring on here is from Starkey Hearing. Now, when you couldn't hear me, I could have Bluetoothed it to my Starkey devices right here. You see that? And you wouldn't even known, right? But I didn't feel like doing that. All right, so just so you know. All right, so let's get right into who I'm doing. So, today I'm going to be interviewing number one, Starkey's Chief Innovation Officer, Dave Fabry, and also Director of Global Philanthropy and Social Impact at Hasbro, Kevin Coleman, to get some insights on how to make the most of uncertain times. So you're going to have an innovation officer here. We're going to be talking about a lot of technology. You're also going to have somebody who was talking about social impact at a very, very large company and global philanthropy. So you can either be talking about the receiving side of some of that philanthropy or some of the executing side, or if you have a charitable company that you're working with or working for, or it's yours. So there's going to be a lot of information here. All right. So first, I'm going to jump right into David Fabry's. I'm going to go into his background so you know who he is, so we know we're not talking to some bobo, right? Received his PhD in hearing science and split his career between academic and clinical roles at the Mayo Clinic, Walter Reed Army Medical Center, and the University of Miami Medical Center, and several industry positions. Now, those are some big companies, of course. Served as president and board member of the American Academy of Audiology and was recently elected to the board of directors of the American Auditory Society. Served as editor-in-chief at Audiology Today since 2000. Audiology Today is a magazine, a publication since 2008, and is a past editor of the American Journal of Audiology and section editor of Ear and Hearing. Currently leads end-to-end innovations with the clinical audiology department at Starkey Hearing, which is what I wear, and collaborates with the engineers and marketing team to make it possible for Starkey to continue to design and provide superior products. Now, a lot of you, I'm going to see you start dropping all going, oh, what can we learn from this person? And it's funny, you never know what you're going to learn from people in different areas. And if I was only bringing on here venture capitalists, music artists, various other things, you can only learn certain things. But I'm going to tell you something. When I first started to work with Starkey, I learned so much that everybody can learn from now, which is the fact that it takes almost 10 years for you to recognize if you have hearing loss. Hearing loss is damaging to the entire family. Forget even the fact that you start to shun away from society. But how many people right here have parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, people, a lot of people have hearing loss at the age of 20 and 30. And how many people here are uncomfortable watching TV with people because they got to turn it up to damn near the channel 15 and you got to sit there and it's just uncomfortable. You got to say 10 things to the person. And they do suffer, the beautiful part of life, like hearing your daughter's little voice or your wife's kiss or, or your son's, celebrating something or just walking through the forest or listening to the fire crackling right now, right? So hearing loss is extremely, extremely important. A lot of people take it very, very lightly. And we always say, think about the kids in school. If a kid has hearing loss, that can be treated due to something like this. But if they have hearing loss, a lot of times they don't want to be in class going, huh, every time the teacher says something, because other kids are going to say, oh, you're dumb, you're stupid, and all those other things, and they shun away from learning. So these are important things for people to understand, and I'm going to bring on David to talk about innovation as well as all those other things. So let me see if I can get him on here really quick. There you go. Boom. Well, person. He already knows how to connect. All right, waiting for Dave. What's up?
How you
Hey,
doing, Daymond?
I'm well. How you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It feels like forever since I saw you last in January in Las Vegas at a big
I
meeting that
know
we held at that time.
at the big old conference with everybody. So, are you in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Twin Cities right now?
I am indeed.
Is
No
it
snow
cold
on the
out there?
ground. It's almost Christmas. It's cold, but no snow on the ground here yet. So we've
Right.
been fortunate by my measure.
Well, excellent, excellent. Thank you for being here. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions because I want people to really understand the value of what you do. Because a lot of people, when you talk about your history, which is very, very there's so many accolades and what you've accomplished. And what I've noticed is when I have been able to grow and stretch my mind is when I talk to people in totally different fields from myself, and somehow I bring that knowledge back to what I'm doing, and I apply it in my way of my life, or I'm even open more to talking to people in that area to gain more knowledge. And that helps me in my investments, that helps me in my relationships, and it helps me with my quality of life. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions really quick and just jump right into it. And
Sure.
I wrote them out previously because I didn't want to get off track. So, it's been a year like unlike any other. And how have you led and motivated your team throughout everything that's been happening in 2020? And how many team members do you have underneath you?
Well, underneath me right now, I work really more cross-functional. I'm kind of a team of one right now, and
Okay.
I have a role in R&D where I live under our CTO and work with the R&D team. But then I also am involved in education and training and marketing and customer-facing events. So I end up having a broad exposure across the organization. But right now, I'm an army of one.
Okay, so let's talk about you talking about education and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
During this time when a lot of people who have been affected by COVID have been elderly, and primarily the elderly are the first to realize how badly they need these devices, even though I think the devices could potentially be needed by probably about it's split 50-50 from people, under 40
Yeah.
to people over. Because I think the people maybe over a certain age, they didn't wear loud headphones and they weren't in rock concerts and sitting next to things. How do you educate the people right now, to go in to get serviced, or how do they get serviced and risk, obviously, you know, being exposed, and they don't even know if their hearing is that bad? I mean, so how do you,
Right.
because educating people is very, very hard to educate them to break that stigmatism of, I need a hearing device.
Yeah, I think you hit on a couple very important points in your introduction, and that is that hearing, even though it is an essential, vital sense to communication, is one that is often taken for granted until it's gone. And you mentioned a number of key factors. Getting older, the older you are, the more likely you are to have hearing loss. Hearing loss can strike at any point in life, but the reality is by the time you hit the age of 65 or 70 for sure, there's about a 50-50 chance that you have a hearing loss. And then other factors such as noise exposure, working or playing, if you've been around loud sounds, that has potentially damaged your hearing over the time. But it's very common for people to still have a stigma associated with hearing loss and hearing aids as only being for older people. And
Right.
that is a bit of an old-fashioned notion because of the fact that we live in a noisy society, and there should be nothing wrong, or people shouldn't be ashamed if they have a hearing loss and wear hearing aids. In fact, what we're seeing is this transition, and you've been involved with us for a number of years, of seeing hearing aids transition from single-purpose devices to ones, like you mentioned, connect directly to your iPhone or your Android phone, stream music, stream podcasts, any audio at all, and really are connection devices that provide a gateway to health and wellness and a gateway to information. And one of the things we've seen with the COVID pandemic, as you said, that 2020 has been a year like no other. People have been struggling with hearing loss, hearing as at the start of this when people couldn't hear you too well. And they've started to notice that they've been having difficulty living in this 24/7 news cycle. So the most important thing is, I would say, if people are noticing that they're having more difficulty than usual being remote and communicating this way, just get a hearing test. And you can do that. You can go in and see an audiologist or hearing instrument specialist. You can do it online. You can download an app. Our Sound Check app will enable a screening test to just see if you have a loss that would require some attention.
Yeah, no, I agree. So these, I had you guys custom make these for me and make them red for me.
Yep,
And the funny thing is, the only other person has a red one is named John too, Elton John, which is
I
great. And
know it.
the reason why I asked you guys to make these red for me is because I wanted people to ask me about them and what were they for. And a lot of people don't realize these are like the new version of Jarvis, right, from Iron Man, right?
Yeah,
I call them,
yeah,
right. So you can do Google Translate in them, so you can translate languages through your phone to these things. They can record a conversation if you and I are having a conversation. If I lose these, and one time I lost them or I misplaced them, they were in LA. I looked at my phone, I realized I left them at the hotel. I can stream my audiobooks or music to them. I can hit a button and it'll cut off all the background noise. And also, I think these also, I don't use them, but they have a sensor, a fall detector, don't they? In case
yeah.
somebody, your loved one is wearing them and they fall, right? So you would be
Yeah.
able to
It'll
know that your loved one fell, right?
Yeah, you'd get a notification. You'd get a cell phone, a text notification, and if you could, you'd pick up the phone and call them. If they don't respond, you'll actually see where they were when they fell as well in real time. And we've heard many times from our customers and their patients that this provides peace of mind to a family member who wants to live independently. And unfortunately, the family member worries about them if they're at risk for falling, and they can respond immediately, send emergency personnel. And we've heard on more than a few occasions, this has made a significant difference in peace of mind for family members who have loved ones who are at risk for falls.
Let me ask them. I don't even realize, because there's so many different applications you can do. Can I broadcast through this? I can speak through my phone or speak through your phone to
Um,
you if you're wearing them. They're like a walkie-talkie
Yeah,
as well,
but you
right?
mentioned that Jarvis, that personal assistant. When you double tap, you can ask any question you want. You know who the fifth president of the United States is, and
Right.
it uses the hearing aid microphones to pick up your voice and then transmit to the phone and to the internet. So yeah, you can broadcast by it's picking up with that personal voice assistant, picking up your voice using the hearing aid microphones. And so you don't have to be right. Your phone can be sitting, as long as it's connected, 10 feet away from you. And you can ask the questions that way. And you can be the smartest person in the room by just asking questions and using that Jarvis function, as you call it, that virtual assistant.
I think that the old stigmatism used to be that, and these don't take batteries, and because the rendition you had probably about 3 years ago, 2 years ago, took batteries, and I did get frustrated having these are simply, you charge them, they go on
Yeah.
chargers, so I never have to worry about those. And of course, they're very small, but I think the stigmatism years ago was you had that big old thing in your ear, it looks like a beeper, hanging off the side
Yeah.
of your ear, and now you're old, right?
Right.
Automatically, you're old. Um, I wonder, is there a way to show? I mean, is there a way to get small, neutral colors or whatever out to people that are not real? Maybe, I don't know. Somebody maybe goes into an audiology place and says, "Take a pair of these, see if anybody knows this ammonia." I have no idea, but I wonder what these things are getting smaller and smaller and smarter and smarter. I'm trying to figure the best way to get them out to people, because I think during this time when you are sitting at home, and you're on Zoom calls or you're communicating with your family all the time, you need to work on the things. Like, I'm trying to make all my medical appointments now, right? I'm trying to
Yeah.
get all of it out of the way, so when I get out of this thing, Humpty Dumpty is back together again, right?
Me too.
I'm just trying. So I'm just trying to find ways to get this information out. But let me talk about some other stuff with technology too, because obviously
Let
you're
me, if I
yeah,
may,
sure.
interject on one thing you mentioned about getting your appointments out of the way. I had a cataract surgery a week ago, and after the surgery, they put me on this regimen of drops, and some are like 4 times a day, 3 times a day, 2 times a day, like 5 different drops. One of the things that you may not even know that these devices do is they enable you to put in appointment reminders if you have a doctor's appointment,
Ooh,
or
I didn't know that.
medication reminders, and they'll tell you when it's time to put drops in. And I sort of rediscovered this feature so that 4 times a day, 3 times a day, it tells me, put your drops in now. And then I get an audible reminder. Especially works well after eye surgery, because you're not having to look for notifications. You just hear it. And we know in the aging population in particular, but I would argue for anyone, because I don't think of myself as old, that
Right.
medication adherence is as low as 50% for people that are on chronic medications. And just getting an audible reminder of appointments or medications is, again, peace of mind. And I'd go so far as to say a lifesaver in some cases.
You know what? If you didn't remind me, I wouldn't have taken my vitamins today. You know, because they're
See?
just sitting in my pocket, getting all beat up. So somebody did say it, and you know, you gotta love the my family here on thing. They say, "Can you even see us when you're talking to us right now?"
Yes,
So
I can. 2020, baby.
2020. That's right. You took care of it. All right. So let me see. Here's the other question I wrote. I talked about I talk about the importance of innovation all the time, and how some of the most impactful and important innovations have come out of tough times throughout history.
Yeah.
This year, Starkey launched the Edge mode and the Mask mode. And tell us a little more about these features and why they were so important to the launch this year.
Yeah, I'll go back to January when we were both in Las Vegas and you were on our main stage, and we announced Edge AI, our latest product at that time, which incorporated artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we talked about Edge mode, you just referenced, that
Right.
puts the
Yeah.
power of artificial intelligence at a person's fingertips. All they need to do is double tap on the side of the device or push a button. And what it'll do, in addition to the fact that these are fitted by a professional, they're programmed appropriate for your loss. But people go into real world situations that sort of defy that clinical guideline, even best practice. You know, you try to anticipate all of the different environments that you might encounter. I can't predict what quiet and noisy environments you're going to be into. So what we've done is empowered the hearing aid user to just go like this, and then it does a scan of the environment to determine, is speech present? Are there voices, multiple voices? Is there background noise? And it uses AI to automatically optimize the speech in that environment to make sure that the person can hear that even under challenging quiet or distant environments or noisy environments. And we launched this in January. And then when COVID-19 hit in full force in the US in March, I wear the devices too. I got a little bit of hearing loss from drums and motorcycles and loud noises. And I started to notice, we initially thought, well, this is going to be the biggest help in noisy environments. I started encountering people wearing face masks on a regular basis. And so what I noticed was I was having difficulty hearing them with face masks without wearing the devices. What I noticed was even with the fact that you don't have any lip reading and you're covered your mouth, it lowers the voice of speech. When I tapped and used Edge mode, it cleaned up, it cleared up, crisped up, if you would, the voice, whether the person was using social distancing, whether they were using a mask, whether they were wearing a medical grade mask. All masks are not the same, and whether there was background noise present. So we found, and we went back to the laboratory, measured the impact of what happens when you're a hearing aid user and encountering someone wearing a face mask. We optimized Edge mode further, and we came up with Edge mode for masks and mask mode. And this has been one of our most popular features out of the launch that we did back in January. We had to pivot to recognize, with the threats posed by COVID, that we had an innovation that we didn't even know what we had in our hands when we were standing on the stage in January, that's proven to be extremely useful for hearing aid users fitted with this product.
And you know what? My 2 cents underscore for free has a question that says, does the person need a cell phone to use them?
No, they don't. They can use the devices with or without the use of a cell phone. Obviously, you mentioned a lot of the advantages of if they're directly paired to the cell phone. But Edge mode, all you need are the hearing instruments and your finger. You double tap and it optimizes in that specific environment. The best functionality with these devices is in combination with a cell phone, but you don't need a cell phone to take advantage of that AI in combination with the power of your fingertip to activate it and optimize to any environment. And you don't even need to have your cell phone with you, even if you have it fitted to a cell phone.
And so in closing, I would love for my people to know, is there a way that you felt have worked? Oh, I got another question. I was told, because I have some hearing loss, that Z-Packs were some of the things that can create hearing loss. Is that true?
Probably.
They said it dries out a little your eardrum or something like that. Because I just want to know. I'm the kind of
the
who will take a Z-Pack right away. But
Yeah, I mean, the issue is people who are worried about ear infections and trying to keep clear, and you can get some challenges with hearing that Z-Paks can assist, as long as it's not ototoxic or causing hearing loss. I don't know that Z-Paks, the evidence is strongly suggesting that Z-Paks are causing hearing loss. They, in fact, can be used to help prevent that congestion that can often lead to a little bit additional hearing loss on top of what you already have. And
how
one
many?
other thing that I wanted,
Sure,
go ahead.
sure. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say that one of the things with masks, when we're talking about it, is that I'm fitted with the custom devices now. Remember back
Yeah.
in January, we talked about, and you have the ones that fit behind the ear.
I
And
have those
while
too.
the behind,
I have those.
yeah, and one of the cool things about, the receiver and the canal devices like you have, I have one on my left ear, is that you learn a little bit how to take the masks off so that it doesn't knock the devices off. Because I'll bet more than once when you first started wearing a mask, it's flopping
Yeah,
off the ear or flopping off the side of your head. One of
yeah.
the things we've seen with the customs, you don't have to think about that at all. You can just take them on and off. And we've seen a resurgence in this area since we launched this Bluetooth connected device that also connects directly to the phone. It's
Right.
rechargeable like the ones you alluded to. So the same expectation from consumer electronics. You don't have to replace the batteries. And it's in this custom form factor that works great with masks too. So we've seen tremendous interest in this.
And how many languages does it translate at the moment?
It's continent dependent, because I know I've used them in other continents, and it's a little bit more, a little bit less, but it's somewhere in the vicinity of at least 28 languages here, and it's probably even higher than that right now. I've used it myself in at least 7 or 8 countries where I didn't speak a lick of the language, and while it's not, let's say, fluent, it
Right.
enables you to ask vital questions like, "Where's my hotel? How do I get another beer?" Safety instructions, etc. But it's been extremely useful at helping me feel a little bit more at home in countries where I don't speak the language.
All right. So for anybody right now who feels that maybe a loved one in their family does not want to approach this, does not want to touch this, they're uncomfortable talking to them about it because when they're telling them a secret, that person's blowing it all up in the, what did you say? Did you say that she's ugly or whatever the case is, or you don't like that person, or like me, if my daughter's trying to sleep and I got the TV on 30, when everybody else doesn't even want to watch TV with me because they're like, oh my God, or the music is too loud. What would you say to somebody who knows that person in their family desperately needs it? They're uncomfortable with it. How do they present them the information to say, Dad, Mom, or son, or whatever, you should check this out?
Well, I think a couple important reminders that we've already discussed is that issue of if you suspect that you're having more difficulty now that you're encountering people wearing face masks, and you have maybe a little bit of loss already, and you're having even more difficulty in this 24/7 news cycle. I think the most important thing first is to just get a test. It doesn't hurt. We don't have to draw blood. You can do it going into a clinic if you're comfortable doing that and able to do that. You can also do a screening measure online. You can go to starkey.com, www.starkey.com, get a test. You can download an app for Android or iPhone called SoundCheck and also do a screening measure. But then if you have a loss, don't delay. Don't wait that 5 to 7 years, because Helen Keller, probably the most famous person who suffered from both vision impairment and hearing impairment, said that while vision connects people to things, hearing connects people to people. And I think, what people don't realize is that there is a strong correlation with hearing loss and loneliness and depression and anxiety. And we've even seen an increasing amount of evidence suggesting that if you delay that decision, that there's a strong correlation with acceleration of dementia. Now, it's not causative. It's not saying if you get fit hearing aids, you're going to reverse that. But what we're seeing is that there are health effects, everything from cardiovascular disease and diabetes and loneliness and depression and dementia, that are strongly linked to untreated hearing loss when people don't do anything about it. And if they do something about it, you can, at any point in your life, live better and hear better. Hear better, live better, we say, when you make the decision to wear hearing aids if you have a hearing loss. And I think COVID-19 and the pandemic has really raised awareness for the importance of hearing to connect to other people when we have to be in separate places like we are here rather than on the same stage.
All right, Dave. Well, thank you so much for that knowledge, and I hope people now, in the case that they need it, they go and check themselves out or check their family members out. And I appreciate all the things you're doing, and keep coming up with better technology so people are not afraid of these things. And I'm going to keep, being a fan of what you and Starkey are doing. Everybody can go to www.starkey.com or the starkeyhearing.com.
Starkey.com.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, man.
Starkey.com.
And a lot of people don't know what you guys do from Starkey Cares, which is absolutely amazing, which is you'll go into some of the poorest places around the world, you'll set up shop, and you'll gift hearing to 1,000, 2,000 people in tribes in Africa. And I've been with you on some of the journeys where it was a lot of the Holocaust survivors who came there. And, there's not enough tissues on the planet when you see a little boy, a little girl at 5 or 6 years old hear their mother's voice for the first time in their life. It is something that is absolutely amazing. So if anybody ever wants to consider, donating to Starkey Cares, you guys run the shop like you're stealing from the main company to give. Like you're like Robin Hoods because you guys are just changing so many people's lives out there, and I think it's absolutely amazing. If anybody wants to ever see some of those videos, just go to I guess Starkey Cares or pull up Starkey Hearing something on those videos, and oh my God, it is ridiculous. It
Yeah, as you
is
can
what the world is
imagine,
made for.
COVID has had an impact on that, but we look very much forward to being able to provide more of that in the future. And so thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, God bless you guys doing God's work. Happy holidays to you and your family and everybody at
Thank you.
Starkey.
You too, Daymond.
You got it. All right, everybody. Listen, I hope you learned a lot. I continue to learn. I definitely learned a lot more from Dave, and so the next person I'm going to bring in, we're still talking about. And I'm glad I ended it on the other aspect of how much Starkey has been giving around the planet. You would really be amazed. Trust me. Pull up some of those videos, and it gives you hope. It gives you hope to see that people are out there. They're wanting to do good for people, and so who I'm going to bring on now. I'm going to bring on Kevin Coleman. Now let me read the background because a lot of you are into philanthropy. Whether you are running a company, whether you are donating, whether you are hands on the ground or boots on the ground. Also, he is somebody big time over at Hasbro. So all right, check it out. So responsible for Hasbro's global philanthropy, which in 2012 included $12 million in philanthropical support, impacted more than 4 million kids around the world. Oversees the Hasbro's Children's Fund, which provides financial grants to child-focused nonprofits like Save the Children, Operation Smile, and Give Kids the World. Also oversees Hasbro's Gift of Play program, donating toys and games to children in low-income communities, and Team Hasbro, the company's employee volunteer program that empowers employees to volunteer to support for children in 40 countries around the world. His name is Kevin Coleman. I'm going to bring Kev on right now. Let me see. I don't see Kev on here right now. Let me see. I see a bunch of good people on here though. I see I see my man Joe Greg on here. I see Ginger. I see Chauncey. Looking for Kevin Coleman. I don't see him, and it could be my device. Let's see. All right. Let me see if I can find him another way here. All right. Kev Coleman, if you're there, can you text put in a comment, then I can bring you in that way. Let's see who else is on here. There you go. I see Kev Coleman 4. There you go. Let me see. Boom.
Hi, Daymond.
Hey, Kev, you're sideways.
Oh, let me change it.
There
Is
you
that
go. How
better?
you doing, man?
I'm good. How about you?
Everything's good. Where are you?
I'm at home. I'm in Rhode Island.
All
So
right.
home's for me, and that's where Hasbro's headquarters is. So yeah, I'm in Rhode Island, snowy Rhode Island. I know it wasn't snowy where your last guest was, but it's snowy here. That's for sure.
All right. So I'm going to just jump right into it 'cause I want people to learn from you right now. And so I wrote these down. So, obviously it's no secret that I'm a big Monopoly guy, and I love that I can play it with Minka and friends of mine's. So how does Hasbro come up with and develop, games that have an educational and entertainment value for both kids and adults?
Sure. Thanks. Yeah, first, thanks for having me, and great question. I mean, we're a global play and entertainment company, so obviously we're making a lot of games, and I know you're a fan of Monopoly. So yeah, I mean, we look at consumer insights to understand what kids are interested in or what they're playing with. But I mean, particularly for educational games and in my area, I'm managing global philanthropy. We have an initiative with it's called Toy Box Tools, where we make look at our games and look at the directions and how we're describing the games, and we adapt them for children with autism. So we kind of look at those insights to understand are our games accessible for all children, and want to make sure that every child can experience them, just like you were just talking about the hearing. How can every child get to play, because play is an innate thing that all children deserve to have and experience. So that's something that we're proud of, because we've been able to adapt our games, and it's on Toy Box Tools is on our website, all about how now the directions may be described in the right way for children with autism to understand it. So something we're proud of.
And you know what? I think that's a good segue to start saying, a lot of people, when you think of toys and kids, you're like, well, every kid needs a toy, and obviously you want to bring joy to them. But as I see you guys work with so many philanthropic organizations, and I don't know, what is your criteria? Because like I'm on the board of the Petco Foundation, and we don't operate any foundations ourselves. I mean, we don't operate any organizations ourselves besides the deployment, because we want to be able to look at organizations who are doing the right thing. They're cutting down the euthanizations of animals. They're finding animals homes. And we want to, sometimes we look at them and we go, yeah, you know what? They need more money, because they've done, comparison to most other organizations, they have really went on and beyond with such a small group of people in such a desperately needed area, like maybe some of the areas that were affected by floods or other things like New Orleans or Texas. How do
Yeah.
you how do you decide on who you give, where do you spread the money around to? Is it because they're an organization who just wants to bring joy to kids, to maybe inner city kids, or some kids don't have any money? Or is it they're also, like you said, they're not only providing toys, but it's an education, so kids with autism or other kids are thinking of better ways of learning and structuring their habits? Or so I'm just trying to find out an overall, how do you deploy the money and or the resources?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, Damon, we're, like you said in the intro, we're in 40 countries around the world. So really what we try to first look at is all of our giving is child focused. So where can we affect and support children in our communities where we operate? So really our employees are living and working, that's where we look first, and then determine, where are children in greatest need in those communities. So first it's child focused, but then we narrow it down even further. Like you were saying, many corporations look at where they're making an impact with their business, but then also where they can do it with philanthropy. So for us, it's children that are in the greatest need when a disaster happens. Like you said, education is a big focus area for us at Hasbro. Hunger is a huge need that's definitely emerged through the pandemic this year. Pediatric mental and physical health. So in children's hospitals, we give our toys and games for children that really need it the most when they're in that difficult situation. And then children in foster care and orphaned youth in different countries around the world. So, it's about, for corporate philanthropy in general, finding your focus area that aligns with your company. That's us. We're a toy, game, and entertainment company for kids. So that makes sense for us. But then even within that, it's how are you really, for us, utilizing all of our assets to make the greatest impact possible. So we look at our company and we can give cash and we can give grants, of course, but we can donate toys and games as well and give those into the hands of kids that need it the most. And then our employee volunteer engagement and effort, we have a huge global volunteer program where employees are giving back in their communities. And then finally, it's the use of our brands. We're a house of brands with Transformers, My Little Pony, Monopoly, like you said, Play-Doh. We really look and seeing at how can those brands unlock giving for the community, whether it be in cause marketing or other initiatives. So, that's kind of generally how we do it at Hasbro, and that's how we find the way to make the biggest impact possible for children around the world.
So who's probably watching now? There are so many people here who either run companies, want to donate, or people who are already in charitable organizations and they know there's a system to reach out to you. But often there's going to be a lot of people who say, I didn't even realize that I'm going to run across this situation and I want to try to get some toys for Christmas or New Year's or whatever the case is for kids, right? And you can only take in but so many calls. And sometimes a lot of people don't know the right person to go to, don't know the right questions to ask. And I'm sure now with the world in a time of need, it's too late, obviously, for probably this next couple of weeks, and people got to be really respectful of that. But in the future, if somebody wanted to come to you, do they go, all right, Kev, what organization do you go through in my area? I live in Chicago. I want to get some over to some kids, in the hospital who are at an unfortunate time in their life. Or is it, do I fill out something? How long is the waiting list? What is the best way for the everyday person who hopefully they may not have a lot and they want to get enough toys out to kids? What are the routes to go through to kind of source your power, your information? And or do you guys take in donations as well for people who say, I got money, I want to give towards this foundation? So all of the ways, the tentacles are important for you to share with me.
Sure, absolutely. And so, for us, we give, like I was saying, those financial grants and sponsorships and toys and games, we give directly to nonprofit organizations. So the 501c3 nonprofit organizations, that's who we direct our funds to. But when the everyday consumer comes to Hasbro or asks for, where can I find an opportunity to get a toy or game for myself, my children, or my neighbor, or, anyone, what we're really proud of is partnerships with those nonprofits that they're doing the great work in the community to get toys and games into the hands of children that need it the most. So, right now for the holidays, it's Toys for Tots. We've partnered with them for 20 years. And so there's 800 Toys for Tots units all around the nation. And so they're in your community in Chicago, the cities you mentioned, they're spread out. And so that's where you'd find them. And so we partner with Toys for Tots and make a pretty sizable gift each year. This year we increased our donations when we gave over 1 million toys and games to Toys for Tots across the nation. So that's where we give. And so if the consumer, everyday person that's listening now, they can go to their local Toys for Tots to understand. I think one, if you have the means to give, you can donate a toy to them. And then also if you are looking for a donation, you can go to Toys for Tots. But, so that's that's one of the organizations. We obviously make a large donation to them, but we support hundreds around the holidays, different nonprofits in the communities where we operate, like I mentioned. And, particularly one that I know, you're associated with or get connected with through this live was Feed the Children. So they're another one that came to us. People come to us regularly, but they came to us, they were distributing, we understand, like I said, hunger is a great need around the nation this year due to the pandemic. They were distributing food and asked, could we give some toys and games for them to donate as well? So we gave them 15,000 toys and games, and they across the nation then distributed those in their areas. So that's really what we look for is organizations that are boots on the ground doing this great work. And then we just want to help amplify it with our donations. So.
Well, absolutely. And Samantha worked with Toys from Tots, so absolutely amazing. And I never thought about it. Every year I buy, I don't know, I could buy anywhere up to $30,000, $40,000 worth of toys to give to kids, but I didn't even know that maybe I can come to you guys. You guys just have a package because why, like any consumer, why do I go out and just buy? Because I don't call to ask for these things, because first of all, I have the money to obviously deploy it, and that's great. So let those toys go to people that may not have the money. But also, I never want to use my name and then it get caught up in red tape and I don't get it in time. So, but maybe there's packages you guys have where I can just spend the money one place, because every one of our consumers today, they'd rather spend the money knowing that you guys are paying it forward, and I'm buying it from 5 different toy companies, and I'm not saying that they're not paying it forward, but I have no idea. I just spend the money, so maybe
Yeah.
there's even a way that I could just buy it just from you, and know that it's going the right places. So is there anything that you want to share with anybody else right now that I think that the consumers can walk away with, or people who are running charitable organizations, that they can learn from what you're seeing these days?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, this, you alluded to it earlier, but the need is so great in the community this year due to the pandemic. So to do the difference. And so for anyone .com or Toys for Tots and make those donations yourselves in the community. But yeah, I mean, I think it's about, for us as a corporation, like I said, we look and see where there's a great need, how we can make an impact, but every consumer and every individual can do so as well. And you're right. I mean, there were certain brand campaigns that we did with our brands this year. And so, that, like, we did a campaign for Play-Doh with cans of kindness where we were donating to teachers, or Guess Who was one of our brands where we created one for the helpers in the community, those hometown helpers that are the essential workers doing the work. So, that's just the way we're doing it as a corporation. But if you want to support, it's give those organizations that are really out on the ground doing the great work, like Feed the Children and Toys for Tots.
All right. Well, I appreciate what you're doing, man. I mean, everybody of us was a kid, or is a kid, or has a kid. I mean, the only person I don't know that was probably never he was born as an adult was Kevin O'Leary. So, but other than that, we love what you're doing, man, and keep giving in this great season. I hope you yourself, even though you're giving to many, I hope you and your family are safe and amazing. Did you hear me? I know you got a lagging internet over there. Cap.
Thank you, Daymond. Thank you for having me on. Thanks for this platform to share about our work and the need in the community. It's because I know you're a fan. Thank you.
You got it, brother. Bye. There you have it. I'm not sure if it's going to be my last broadcast for the year. I probably will get back on, but why not end it with two people who are about giving, that are at large corporations, because I think a lot of us only look at large corporations. And I'm going to bring somebody else on here, anybody else on here right now. Just some people will hear. So plug yourself in if you want me to bring you on. Yeah, why not talk about great companies, great corporations who are doing God's work too. We always talk only about all the bad things people are doing. And by the way, thank you all, everybody, for the new comments on the FUBU stuff. Listen, I'm actually super impressed. A lot of you may not remember the FUBU hoodies that we put out, but we used to always call our hoodies bulletproof, right? And reason why is we make them 3 times heavier than the traditional hoodie. That's why, of course, they cost a little bit more, but they are really like bulletproof. You know what? I'm going to show you one really quick. See that? I'm getting old. Starting to look down. So this is one that just came in. I'm gonna open it right here, and I'm gonna show you how bulletproof it is. What do you call it? A lot of people don't remember, or they do remember when, and some of you still have your FUBU stuff, right? It's because it just stays around. Now this is just the applique. And this is embroidery. Listen. That's all embroidery. So think about how thick that is. But thank you, everybody, for the support. And my partners and I were trying to figure out how should we do the FUBU give back? Should we buy one, give one? Come up with an organization, maybe you know, for financial intelligence for kids. So we want to come up with some components. So please feel free to chime in if you have any components that we want to really start creating. You know, more of a social cause. FUBU. Back in the days, we used to give. You know, as you've seen online, sometimes we'd give up to almost $20 million a year to do things from refurbished basketball courts to shelters against battered women who are suffering from abusive relationships. But I think we want to tie it to one or two or three organizations today that are empowering people with some form of an education, more likely the youth and those who feel like they need to burn down businesses, but we want them to build businesses. So if anybody has any ideas, we would love to hear your ideas. So of course, please always give us your ideas. We never take criticism as something bad. When people critique you, they could have went anywhere else to say those comments to anybody else, but they say it to you, and we take it as education on how to create a better company. All right, let me bring in somebody here to talk to. Who do we have on here? Is it Diva Richards? I think it's Diva Richards, but I don't want to, you know, me, my dyslexia, especially reading them avatars, my dyslexia.
Hey, what's going on? How are you?
What's happening?
Nothing. I think, I like the idea of the buy one, give one. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I like that too. You know, like when I deal with Bombas socks, it's affordable to do that with socks, but how do you do that with apparel? Because sometimes,
True.
you're right, it's so costly, right? So it could be buy one, give for every 10, one is given, but there's a difference, right? So like, I'll give you an example. These pieces there's a lot of quality go into it, right? But there's more designing quality. I'll give you an example. This is, you know, probably about 20% of the shirt is going to be, the cost is here.
Yeah, the stitch.
But if right, so if I was to give one, let's say I was going to give one to the homeless in need, that person doesn't care about all this. They something that they can wear that is maybe microbial, bacterial, whatever kind of stuff like that, but it is more functional. So I got to switch up the use. So anyway, we're struggling with all that. We're figuring it out. How you doing though? This is about you right now, not about me. How you doing?
I appreciate it. I'm doing great. You know, I'm a business owner, so I'm like everybody else, surviving and hoping to thrive a little more in 2021.
Sure. And what's your business and where are you? And what's your name? I mean, come on, man.
Diva Richards. I own a gym in South Jersey. Hard work, no excuses gym.
Hard work, no excuses gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I live my life. I need to live my gym life like that. Hard work, no excuses. Look, I bought two Pelotons and I'm not losing any weight. See that? And I got two of them over there.
That means you ain't using them.
But when I hang my shirt up, I got a good place to hang my shirt up on, right on the Peloton.
I ain't even mad at you. I ain't even mad. What would you think about giving back? Because I know I was working on a project with some people and we were doing a give back component. What do you think about donating maybe to an organization, like you said, that works with young entrepreneurs even maybe?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're open to that. We love, I already work with some, but we always like to give, instead of working just with one, we like to give a little to 20. You know, so I already work with Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. I worked with one anyway, I work with a bunch of them, but yeah, absolutely. We're always open. We just want to know that the money is being spent the right way to the right people. You know, God forbid, unfortunately, think about years ago, we would have been giving all our money to the Boy Scouts. You know, not that, you know, obviously some bad things happen, I'm sure, in a small group, but we want to know that it's being deployed the right way.
Well, I just stopped in to say hello, and I appreciate your time, and I love the new apparel. I saw when you got, like, this is dope. So I'm a FUBU OG, so.
Well, I appreciate it. Let me ask you about your business. How many people can you bring into your gym right now? The ordinance, just tell me about the business.
25% capacity, which is not many, but
Ooh.
surprisingly, we have been still getting new members. I think consumer confidence is going up with people wanting to get the vaccine. So people are starting to loosen up and feel a little more comfortable, which is good.
Right. When I was consulting a gym owner in Miami, we were sharing the fact that you don't sell memberships, you sell a healthy lifestyle. And then what we did was right in the beginning of the pandemic, he sent his machines over to, or his equipment over to his members as rental. They didn't have to pay for it. It was part of it because he felt the gym was empty anyway.
Right.
And then he went to other apparel companies in the area and people who were selling like meal plans, and he got them to market to his whatever base of people, but they would have to give his base of people, his members, 20 to 25% off and give him 10% off. And that increased his membership actually because he was selling a healthy lifestyle. So I'm sure that, you're selling, I mean, just by your name, and that's what I love about the name, because you're not saying, well, it's only in the gym. You're selling a mentality of what you need to do, whether it's your family, whether it's your faith, whether it's your gym, your nutrition, or your business. So I think you got
to help us survive. And I think that's the thing that helped us through COVID was what we can offer the members outside of the physical building. What we brought to the table is the thing that I think sustained us. So people didn't want to lose this lifestyle, so they continue to support. We immediately went to a virtual option, which no one can deny now that virtual is part of the future, though it is not the entire future. It's definitely part. Nothing will ever replace that interaction. So
100%. We're human. We want to see people. Like a lot of people asking me, well, why do you need an office anymore? Well, just because you're good at your home, it don't mean that I have a young kid that moved to New York City who said, man, I'm in New York City. And now they're stuck in a little crappy apartment in the Bronx. And like, I want to see people. I want to get out there, right? So, and maybe there's people who are like this. Yo, I don't want to see my wife or husband. I need to get my ass out the house because we're fighting every day. And I love them when I miss them. So absolutely, the human component is extremely important. Keep doing what you're doing as a female African-American business owner, right?
Yes.
You are a pride example of people that can do it, and you're the backbone of the country. I appreciate it. You small business owners are the backbone.
Oh, man, they have no idea. I appreciate you taking your time to talk to me today, man.
You got it. Bye.
All right, take care.
See that? Got time to get on my platform and was talking to me about my stuff. That's what entrepreneurs are. They're extremely giving. Smile was big as hell and can only get 25% of the people in their locations and have made it over the last 8 months and still talk about motivating you. That's exactly what entrepreneurs are. They're people who are selfless. They care about everybody else, and they're going to walk into the room with a smile, upbeat, with their chest out, no matter what the hell is going on in their life. How many of you are like that? Because she is the epitome of a true business owner. And that's just what it is. You got to, never let them see you down. And it's probably because she works out every day too. So she's got the adrenaline running. She's feeling really good about herself because they maybe like my wife, and my wife doesn't work out during the day. Then all of a sudden she's not in a great mood. So, listen, thank you everybody for joining me today. I'm probably going to come on with some random ones this week, following probably the next week as well. But more importantly, I hope during your holiday season, whether it's Hanukkah, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Kwanzaa, whatever else it is, I hope you're safe and cherishing this crazy time in our lives in this moment that we're all going to say, where were you during the holidays of COVID? And I hope, listen, that your whole family is there. And if not, I'm sorry about your losses. I just heard of another friend who lost somebody this morning to this unfortunate situation going on. So be really careful. I think we got just a couple more months of this stuff, right? And be safe. So I miss you all, and I will talk to you later. Peace.